My little brother first tried to kill me when he was 7. Mom said he was just playing. Now I'm 25, and I'm writing this from the mental hospital where Mom's angel, sent me. They say children are innocent, that they're pure angels, incapable of evil. This lie is invented by adults who are afraid to admit that a monster could lie in the cradle. My little brother, Mark, was born when I was 8. I remember how happy I was, a living doll, a little warm bundle. I volunteered to help Mom, bottle feed him, rock him. And I loved him, I truly did. Until the day he turned 3, and I looked into his eyes as he hugged our kitten. He wasn't just hugging me, he was suffocating me. He was looking at me and smiling. And then he whispered, "Look, sister, how funny he twitches." I'm 25 now, and I'm in a padded ward in St. Anthony, Ohio. My diagnosis: acute paranoid disorder with aggressive episodes. My doctor believes I'm a danger to society, especially to my younger brother, who now lives with a guardian because our parents are gone. And I'm the only one who knows who killed Mom and Dad. And no one, not a single person on this earth, believes me. To understand how I ended up here, I need to go back to our childhood in the sleepy town of Milford, Ohio. A 2-story white house with a large oak tree in the yard. Dad was the sheriff, Mom an elementary school teacher. A picture postcard family. Mark was a late and desired child, especially for Mom. She adored him. When he was 3, he tore up my favorite book. Mom said it was my fault for not putting it away. When he added laundry detergent to my cereal at age 4, and I spent 2 days in the hospital with a burned esophagus, my mother assumed the boy just wanted to help and mix the jars. At age 5, he locked me in the basement, turned off the lights, and sat by the door, humming a lullaby in a thin voice while I screamed in terror and tore my fingers bloody against the concrete walls. After that incident, I got a streak of gray hair at age 9. Every time I tried to tell my parents, Mark stood there, looking at me with the eyes of a beaten puppy. "My sister is yelling at me again," he whined. "I love her so much, and she's hurting me." And my mother believed him. My father, a sheriff with 15 years of experience, who had seen murderers and rapists, looked at his youngest son and saw only an innocent child. And I was a hysterical, jealous teenager who couldn't accept the fact that everyone's attention had shifted to her little brother. That's what the psychologists told me. 2 different psychologists, one after the other, took me to them, and both came to the same conclusion: jealousy, lack of parental warmth, adolescence. Do you know what it's like when the only person who sees the true nature of your tormentor is you? And the whole world thinks you've lost your mind. Mark understood this perfectly. One night, when he was 7 and I was 15, he quietly opened my bedroom door and slipped inside. I woke up, unable to breathe. He was sitting on my chest, a skinny boy, but with a strength no child should have. His hands were squeezing my throat. "Quiet," he said. "If you scream, I'll tell Daddy you hit me. I already have a bruise. I inflicted it on myself. Try explaining later that it was I who choked you, not you who hit me." And he let me go only when everything went black before my eyes. In the morning, I saw a purple bruise on his forearm. My mother was crying. My father had hit me in the face for the first time in his life. Mark stood behind them and smiled. The same smile he had over the kitten. Calm. Studying. And then there was something else. At 10, Mark started keeping a diary. I found it by chance when I was cleaning his room. He'd left it on the table himself because he knew I'd be coming. It was bait. The diary, in neat, childish handwriting, contained 3 pages of plans. How to get myself expelled from school, plant drugs in my backpack. How to break up with my best friend, send her offensive messages from my phone. He knew the password. And finally, the entry, "Final decision," crossed out and replaced with "Surprise for sister." When I showed my diary to my mother, trembling, she sighed and said, "It's just a game, a fantasy. All children go through that." Can't you see? He adores you. He even writes poems about you. What poems, Mom? Where do the words sister and bonfire rhyme? At 13, Mark took action. My dog, Barney the Labrador, who slept by my bed, suddenly fell ill. Vomiting, convulsing, and he died 2 days later. The vet said it was rat poison. He must have eaten something outside. But I knew Barney never picked anything up off the ground. The day he got sick, Mark said to me in the hallway, "Dogs die too when they bark too loudly. Remember that." And I remembered. I stopped arguing with him. I fell silent. I agreed with everything my parents said. I played the loving older sister in front of strangers because I knew any word I said against him would lead to another incident, and this time it wouldn't be limited to a bruise on his arm. He could frame me. And Dad was the sheriff. Dad would believe him. The turning point came when I turned 19. I was in college and only came home on weekends. Mark was 11, but he looked older, tall, angelically handsome, with blue eyes and dimples. The neighbors called him the Golden Boy. I arrived for Thanksgiving, and at dinner, Mark asked to speak. He stood up and made a toast to my beloved sister who always cared for me. I want her to know I will never, ever leave her. We are bound forever. The guests burst into tears, and I saw the way he looked at me with a cold promise. That night, I couldn't sleep. I went down to the kitchen for water and saw that the door to my father's office was ajar. The light was on. Mark was sitting at the table, typing something on his father's laptop. He knew all the passwords, as well as everything about everyone. I peeked through the crack. It was a conversation in some chat room for special people. I couldn't see the details, but I made out a phrase he'd typed. Yes, I've tried with animals. But with people, it's much more interesting. Especially with those who trust you. My sister is the perfect candidate. She's afraid, and her fear is adorable. Then a discussion ensued about ways to immobilize a victim without leaving traces, and how to stage an accident. I was paralyzed. I wanted to take a picture of the screen with my phone, but the flash might give me away. I quietly retreated, but the creak of a floorboard made Mark turn sharply. Our eyes met. He smiled, slowly slammed the laptop shut, and said, "Eavesdropping isn't nice, sis. But now you know. So, what are you going to do? Go to Dad? Go ahead, tell him your 11-year-old brother is on the dark web studying the anatomy of pain. He'll send you back to the psychiatrist." He came closer to me and whispered, "And when you get back from the hospital, Mom and Dad might accidentally fall asleep and never wake up. Carbon monoxide, such a sad accident. Or maybe rat poison, like Barney's, only in Mom's pie. You know I know how to wait. And I know how to plan." The next day I left for college and didn't return home for almost 2 years. I tried contacting the police in another city. They listened politely, then twirled their fingers at their temples. A 19-year-old girl complaining about an 11-year-old straight-A student? I tried contacting child psychologists, told them everything. They said it was a projection of my own fears, that I needed therapy. I started collecting evidence. Audio recordings of calls where he'd intentionally said nasty things, but I didn't have time to record them because he was smarter. He always guessed when I tried to record them. It was as if he sensed it. Over those 2 years, I became paranoid. I couldn't sleep. I'd jump at every call. Meanwhile, Mark was growing up, turning into an attractive teenager with excellent grades, volunteering at the local church, and earning certificates for helping the elderly. My mother sent me photos. "Look what a wonderful brother you have. He misses you so much. Come visit." And I broke down. Because I loved my parents. I thought I could protect them. I returned to Milford for Christmas when Mark was 13 and I was 21. The house greeted me with the scent of cinnamon and pine needles. Everything was decorated. Mom hugged me. Dad patted me on the shoulder. Mark stood in the living room with a box tied with a ribbon. "This is for you, sis." A gift. I opened it. Inside was my old diary, the same one I kept in high school and thought I'd lost. "I found it in the attic," he said innocently. "I decided to give it back. It's full of secrets." He looked at me, and I realized he'd read every page. Every childhood fear, every weakness, the names of everyone I'd ever loved. That evening, after my parents went to bed, He came up to me in the hallway and whispered, "You know what I learned from your diary, sis? You're afraid of enclosed spaces and the dark. And you're also afraid that no one will believe you. I decided to give you the perfect ending. Today, it's all going to happen. Mom and Dad will die. And you know what the police will say? That you did it. Because I've already prepared the evidence. Your threatening messages, yes, I hacked your account. The diary where you write about how you hate your parents because they love me more. And most importantly, the knife I left in your bag. The very one I'll kill them with." I rushed to the stairs to wake my father, but Mark grabbed my arm with incredible force. "Too late," he said, and I heard something fall heavily upstairs. I broke free and ran to my parents' bedroom. The door was open. My father was lying on the floor in a pool of blood. My mother was. She was lying on the bed, her eyes wide. The smell of iron hit my nose, and everything blurred before my eyes. I screamed. I screamed so loudly that the dogs in the neighboring houses started barking. And Mark stood behind me, holding my kitchen knife, covered in blood and crying. Loudly, sincerely, sobbing. When the neighbors burst in, he rushed to them. "Help! My sister has gone crazy. She killed Mom and Dad. She wanted to kill me too." There were real tears in his eyes. Broadway-level mastery. The police found everything. My diary with dark teenage poems, printouts of hateful and threatening messages from my number, my fingerprints on the knife. He gently placed my hand on the handle while I was in shock, and I didn't even notice. My testimony sounded like insane nonsense. A 13-year-old boy planned a double murder and framed me? I was held in front of the neighbors. Mark buried his face in the policewoman's shoulder and sobbed. I loved her so much. Why did she do this? The trial was quick. A psychiatric examination found me insane at the time of the crime, schizophrenia, paranoid disorder, and obsessive jealousy of my brother, they said. Life imprisonment in a closed psychiatric hospital. Mark played the role of a grieving orphan so flawlessly in court that the jury burst into tears. As they led me away, handcuffs, he caught my eye and mouth, surprise. For years have passed. I sit in this hospital room, writing these lines on scraps of toilet paper with a stub of a pencil I managed to hide. Mark lives in our house with his guardian, who adores him. He's 17, graduated from high school with honors, and his photo is published in the local newspaper. Young man surviving tragedy, helps other children. He comes to see me every 6 months. According to hospital rules, relatives can visit patients unless there's a threat of violence. The doctors consider his visits helpful, an expression of forgiveness and love. They don't hear what he says when he sits next to me and leans toward my ear. Each visit lasts about 20 minutes and is whispered. He talks about his week, adding details about how fun it was to plan his parents' murder, how he chose the moment, how he practiced on stray cats to see how much blood flows from the carotid artery. He says I'm the only one he can be honest with, that he misses our conversations, that life without me is boring, and he's thinking about playing with a girl from boarding school. During his last visit, he leaned over and whispered, "You know, little sister, I could kill someone else. And you know what's best? No one, absolutely no one, can stop me. Because I'm Mommy's angel. I always have been. Thank you for that." He leaves, and I stay. I look out the barred window and see his thin figure getting into the car. He waves at me. And I know the monster isn't under the bed. The monster bears my last name, lives in my house, and visits me with Christmas presents. The scariest thing is my brother's smile when he says, "I love you," and you know the next phrase will be, "Time for another surprise."